Hi everybody, this is Mr. Blay. We're making a video today on the beginning of section 7.3, which has to do with the coefficient of determination. In the subsequent videos, I'll do standard error of estimate and the prediction interval. But for right now, I'm just going to focus on a short explanation of the coefficient of determination. So this is actually the attached answer key you guys have to your notes. So coefficient of determination, you guys have actually already seen this represented specifically on the calculator. The coefficient of determination is represented by the symbol r squared. So basically what this does is this is a measure of the variation of the dependent variable, okay, which is y, that is explained by the independent variable, which is x. So again, it says here that it's represented by r squared, and it's reported out as a percentage of total variation. Okay. So what this basically means, if I kind of work through a short example here, and there is actually another example down here in this area where they kind of explain another example. But I'll basically just show you quickly right up here. Okay, so let's say we had a correlation coefficient or an R value. Okay, so remember this is our correlation coefficient. Okay, now this R value basically tells us or gives us an idea of what type of relationship there is between the X and the Y variable. So let's say we had an R value of 0.73. Okay, so this is a pretty good positive relationship, which basically is just telling us that essentially as X goes up or increases, Y also goes up and increases. That's what a positive linear relationship means. So now this basically means for R squared, okay, you're really just going to take the 0.73 and you're going to actually square it, which you can do on your calculator, which I'm doing right now. This comes out to 0.53, okay? So this number right here is actually our coefficient of determination. All right, now what this is basically telling us, this is the explanation of what this means. This means that 53% of the Y values are explained by the X values, okay? So what this is basically telling you, what I mean by explained by the X values, this basically means that about half of the Y values are actually being explained or being connected back to a true input or a true X value, okay? Which basically for 50%, half and half, it's not really all that impressive that only about half of your Y values are being truly determined by your X values. Okay, which again, even if you connect it back to your correlation coefficient, this is a pretty good correlation coefficient, but it's not great. We'd prefer to see this around like 0.85, 0.9, 0.95 to really have a true strong relationship. Okay, so that's just a brief explanation of the coefficient of determination. Again, as you can see down here, the coefficient of non-determination is very simple as well. It's just 1 minus r squared. So again, if your determination is 53%, your non-determination is 47%. Okay, so that's a brief explanation of what the coefficient of determination really means. And again, the real important thing to understand is that this value of r squared and this value of r are very different things. They both help us to describe the connections between the X value and the Y value, but they do describe them in slightly different ways. So just keep that in mind as you guys are doing your work.